Hi everybody, it's October 27th, 2025. I guess a lot of us in life look for signs. We look for signs in the way the cards fall in certain situations. We look for signs in maybe something somebody says, and we may be aware that the person might not have meant anything by it, but our perception and our catching of that phrase or that word that they said, we attach meaning to it as a sign for us sometimes. Or we just like look at the news of the world and something may have happened, and we may try to see how that influences our own personal lives. And what I have learned about looking for signs is, yes, sometimes they may line up and sync up with our own personal lives and our inner reality. But the problem with looking for signs is you're not looking for a lighthouse. You're looking for the motivation. You're looking for the confirmation. You're looking for the approval to live your life safely and comfortably and gratifyingly. And when you're waiting for those things to come from arbitrary occurrences, you are at the whim of the winds of nature. So looking for a sign isn't always is rarely the best thing to do. The best thing to do is to develop a trust in yourself and to act upon your most deepest and clear judgment. And in regards to that, I've come to like conceptualize a part of our lives. It's the way we see our cage doors. Sometimes the way we look at the outs of our suffering, our current complications, the way we look at it is very plain and down to earth. If we are trapped in a certain situation in our life, we try to naturally remedy it. We try to naturally work to free ourselves from that situation. But it's our approach that needs to be honed, and it needs to be conditioned. Because sometimes you might stand in front of your cage door, pushing at it, pulling at it, kicking it, bashing it, and it won't open. But sometimes if we change our perspective, we can see that the actual cage door isn't the one in front of us. The way out is the way behind us. And the reason we don't see it is because our innate thrust is always forward and direct and plain. But if you could get in tune with the kind of flow of life, you know that you have to have a 360 view sometimes to find a solution. So proverbially turning around and seeing that the cage door was actually behind you and it was open all this time, this happens all the times. Maybe sometimes, let's say you started a new job, and they told you had potential for growth, and so you're working there for a year and no raise. You work for another year, no raise, and you're like, I can't afford to have this job because I'm not getting enough resources. I'm not getting paid enough. And then you remember the last job you had, which was behind you, proverbially, and the last job maybe didn't give you a pay increase, but it gave you more opportunities to work more hours, or to change your schedule so you could be available to work a part-time job to add to your income. So what was behind you was actually a way out of your current financial struggles. That's looking at your life and your situations at a 360 degree perspective. And sometimes the cage door is split. You may be pushing at the bottom half, trying to duck under the door to get out, and the top half was always open, but you had to climb a little bit. And for a certain situation, example could be let's say you are training to work out and you're not gaining any muscles in the areas that you're working out, and you are going at it at a slow pace, gradually and slowly increasing the weight to take things easier on yourself, so you don't want to get discouraged and quit. But the actual answer was to load up and take on as much as you possibly can to bulk up effectively. So that's climbing over on the top, putting in more effort, putting in a strategic weight load onto your plate so that you could reach your goals. Sometimes you have to climb higher to get out instead of going under, which is the easy way. And so we have to get accustomed to looking at our cage doors in kind of a Rubik's Cube type of approach. And so maybe sometimes the cage door leads to a very deep body of water with no end in sight on the horizon, and that's the only way out. And so you stay in your cage looking at the water, and you're saying there's no way out. There's nowhere to go. There's absolutely nowhere to go. I'm looking 360 degrees around me, and that's the only way out, is through the door into the deep ocean with nothing on the horizon. And in these parts of our life, this may be a relationship that ended, no matter how it ended, because that person was your everything. They were your life, they were your world, they were your attention, they were your suffering, they were your happiness, and they're gone now. And all that's ahead of you is a lonely life where you're just going to end up alone and you're going to drown in loneliness. And so when that situation occurs, yes, you take a little rest in the cage, but eventually you have to go out and swim. And you realize that just because it's a big body of endless water, that doesn't mean there's not life out there, that there's not the occurrences, the winds of life out on a body of water. So if you go out and swim, even though it may not look like there's any possible way that you'll be saved, you will be saved, because you made that commitment to leave the cage, to leave your suffering, to leave your holding on to a moment that's already passed, to go into the future and to survive and thrive. Something will come on that water that will lift you out of it and take you to land. It's just having the faith to go out and do it. So this is the perspective to have if you want to look at your cage door. The cage door is not necessarily a barrier. It's a riddle that you have to solve to get out of. So I hope this helps. Thanks.